Of all the signs of the zodiac, none has been more feared, more mythologized, and more misunderstood than Scorpio. The scorpion does not attack. It defends. And this single fact holds the key to everything Scorpio truly is. Born under the deepest waters of the zodiac, where light barely penetrates, the scorpion carries a silence that is not emptiness, it is depth. Where other signs broadcast, Scorpio archives. Where others perform, Scorpio penetrates. This is the sign of the investigator, the surgeon, the detective, the alchemist. The one who must know what lies beneath the surface, whatever the cost of knowing. Scorpio is the only sign with two sovereigns, one ancient, one modern. The classical ruler. Mars, the red planet, god of war, the principle of raw desire, drive, and the will to act. The modern ruler. Pluto, lord of the underworld, the slowest wanderer in our solar system, governing the hidden economies of power, transformation, obsession, inheritance, and every force that operates beneath the surface of consciousness. Together they compose a signature unique in the zodiac. Desire refined by the depths. Mars gives the scorpion its heat. Pluto gives it its patience. One strikes, the other waits decades. One is the wound, the other is the scar that becomes wisdom. Element. Water. Modality. Fixed. In that pairing lies the entire paradox of the sign. Water is the element of feeling, of memory, of the unconscious, the tide that moves with the moon. Fixed is the modality of endurance, of crystallization, of the vow that cannot be broken. Put them together and you have fixed water, the frozen sea, the deep ocean current that never changes course, the reservoir that outlasts every drought. Rivers carve canyons by moving, fixed water carves them by remaining. The Scorpio does not flow around obstacles. It waits, and then, with the patience of geology, it dissolves them. Every sign has its house, and Scorpio's is the eighth. The house of death and rebirth, of intimacy and shared resources, of inheritance, of the occult. The astrologers of old called it the house of not mine, other people's money, other people's power, the debts we owe, the resources we pool in marriage and partnership. And above all, it is the house of transformation, the tax we pay for growth. Every profound change in a human life passes through an eighth house door. The death of an identity, the birth of another. The moment you surrender the self you built, so that the self you were meant to become can finally breathe. Every sign wears three faces, and Scorpio wears them like masks of power. The first decan, ruled by Mars and Pluto, is the purest expression of the sign. The surgeon's precision, the well-made scalpel, the intensity that cannot be faked. The second decan, ruled by the moon, is the psychic Scorpio, the empath who feels the currents of a room before a single word is spoken, who inherits the emotional weather of everyone around them. The third decan, ruled by Neptune, is the mystical Scorpio, the alchemist, the occultist, the one who dissolves the ego in the waters of the infinite. Three faces, one spine. The refusal to stay on the surface of anything. The sting is Scorpio's most misunderstood weapon. It is not cruelty, it is a pressure valve. When the scorpion is cornered, when its boundaries have been violated, its trust betrayed, its depth mocked, it releases a single, precise, devastating charge. The lesson is this. The sting always has a target, and the target is usually a truth that has been avoided. The sting does not create the wound, it reveals it. This is why Scorpio's discipline is shadow work. The deliberate descent into the basement of the psyche, to meet what you fear, to integrate what you have repressed, and to bring it back into the light, transformed from poison into medicine. Scorpio's symbol is not one creature but three. Some traditions say four. The scorpion. The creature of the earth, defensive and vigilant, the guardian of the self. The serpent. The creature of the underworld, of healing, for the serpent sheds its skin and, in shedding, teaches rebirth. The eagle. The creature of the sky, the perspective that rises above the battlefield, seeing the whole pattern where the scorpion sees only the threat. And the phoenix. The creature of fire, the final form, that which rises from its own ashes, unburned, more brilliant than before. The journey of Scorpio is the journey up this ladder of symbols, from defense, to healing, to vision, to resurrection. Every Scorpio life is a descent story. The myths tell it again and again. Inanna descending through 7 gates into the underworld, surrendering a garment at each one. Persephone's abduction and return, carrying the secret of the seasons. Orpheus walking into Hades to retrieve what he loved. The Greeks called it katabasis, the deliberate journey downward. For Scorpio, the descent is not a punishment, it is the curriculum. You cannot ascend until you have descended. You cannot be reborn until you have died to the version of yourself that no longer serves. The underworld is not a place of doom. It is the only place where the true self can be found, because it is the only place where masks are stripped away. The alchemists worked in 3 stages. Negredo, the blackening, the confrontation with shadow, the dissolution of the false self, the dark night of the soul. Albedo, the whitening, purification, clarity, the moonlit peace that follows the storm. Rubedo, the reddening, the rebirth in fire, the philosopher's stone glowing at the heart of the work. This is the Scorpio arc. Not a personality trait, a process. To be Scorpio is to be the laboratory. The philosopher's stone is not a thing. It is the self, refined by fire and water, by death and desire, by the sting and the surrender. And so we leave you with this. The Scorpion does not fear the dark. It is the dark. And from that darkness, it makes light.